unexpected reunion. Olivia Reed adjusted her blazer and checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. The late September sun cast a golden glow over the exclusive Bellamy estate, where she was about to meet her newest clients. At 29, she had built Reed Wedding Planning into one of the most sought-after boutique firms in the city, a fact that still amazed her some mornings. "Just another day, just another wedding," she murmured to herself, a ritual that calmed her nerves before important meetings. The assistant had given her minimal details: wealthy couple, winter wedding, unlimited budget. The only name she had was the bride's, Vanessa Grant. The groom's name had somehow been omitted from the preliminary paperwork. Olivia grabbed her portfolio and tablet, then walked the curved stone path to the estate's garden where the meeting would take place. The scent of roses mingled with freshly cut grass as she approached the terrace. She spotted a woman in a cream-colored dress who must be Vanessa, sitting with her back to Olivia. Across from her was a man whose profile made Olivia's steps falter. It couldn't be. But as she drew closer, denial became impossible. The man turned, and Olivia found herself looking into the eyes of Nathan Blackwell, the man who had broken her heart 3 years ago when he'd abruptly ended their engagement. Nathan's expression shifted from professional interest to shock, then to something unreadable. "Olivia?" "Mr. Blackwell," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "What a surprise." Vanessa looked between them, perfectly shaped eyebrows raised. "You two know each other?" Nathan cleared his throat. "We're acquainted. From some time ago." "We were engaged," Olivia stated plainly, deciding in that moment that honesty would be her shield. 3 years ago." Vanessa's smile tightened. How fascinating. Nathan never mentioned being engaged before. "Ancient history," Nathan said dismissively, though his eyes never left Olivia's face. "I'm sure we can all be professional about this." Olivia smiled, her years of dealing with difficult clients coming to her rescue. "Of course. I'm here to plan the perfect wedding for you both." She sat down, opening her tablet. "Shall we begin?" The next hour passed in a blur of venue options, color schemes, and catering discussions. Olivia maintained her composure while Vanessa detailed her vision of a winter wonderland wedding with 400 guests. Nathan spoke little, occasionally watching Olivia with an expression she couldn't decipher. "Your portfolio is impressive," Vanessa conceded after reviewing Olivia's past events. "Though I'm surprised we haven't crossed paths at the club. Everyone who's anyone uses Patricia Winters." "I focus on quality over quantity," Olivia replied, "and creating unique experiences rather than formulaic events." Nathan's phone rang, and he excused himself to take the call. Once he was out of earshot, Vanessa leaned forward. "Listen," she said, her voice losing its musical quality. "I don't know what happened between you two, but this wedding is happening. If you can't handle seeing your ex get married, say so now." Olivia met her gaze evenly. "My personal history won't affect my work. Your wedding will be flawless." Vanessa studied her for a moment. "Good, because Nathan needs everything perfect. His family and our investors will all be there." "Investors?" "For the new development fund. The wedding is partly a networking event for the business." Vanessa flicked an invisible speck from her sleeve. "Nathan's on the verge of his biggest deal yet." Before Olivia could respond, Nathan returned, accompanied by another man. Tall, with thoughtful eyes and an easy smile, he approached with a natural confidence that contrasted with Nathan's more calculated presence. "Sorry to interrupt," the newcomer said, "but we have that meeting downtown in an hour, Nate." "Right." Nathan gestured between them. "Olivia Reed, this is Tyler Morgan, my best friend and best man." "Tyler, Olivia will be planning the wedding." Tyler extended his hand, his warm grip lingering just a moment too long. "Olivia Reed," he repeated, as if committing the name to memory. "Looking forward to working with you." Something in his gaze suggested he knew exactly who she was, and Olivia felt a flutter of unease. As the men prepared to leave, Tyler turned back. "Nathan never mentioned how talented his ex-fiancée was," he said quietly. "Interesting coincidence that you're planning his wedding." "Life is full of unexpected reunions," Olivia replied. Tyler's smile deepened. "Indeed it is. And sometimes They're exactly what we need. Behind the perfect facade, the November rain pelted the windows of Olivia's downtown office as she reviewed the vendor contracts for Nathan and Vanessa's wedding. 6 weeks had passed since that first meeting, and despite her professional demeanor, each interaction with Nathan left her emotionally drained. Her assistant Maya poked her head in. The florist called. "They can't get the white orchids Vanessa wants," Olivia sighed. "Call Botanical Dreams. Jerome owes me a favor." "Will do." Maya hesitated. "Also, Mr. Morgan is here to see you." Olivia looked up, surprised. "Tyler, did we have an appointment?" "No, but he says it's about the wedding." Moments later, Tyler entered, raindrops still clinging to his navy coat. He carried 2 coffee cups and offered one to Olivia. "I remembered you mentioning you liked hazelnut lattes during the venue tour," he explained. "Thank you." She accepted the gesture cautiously. "What brings you by? Is Vanessa concerned about something?" Tyler settled into the chair opposite her desk. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you myself. About Nathan." Olivia stiffened. "If this is about our history, it's about making sure you know what you're walking into." His expression grew serious. "The Nathan marrying Vanessa isn't the same person you knew." "People change," she said neutrally. "Not always for the better." Tyler leaned forward. "Look, I've known Nathan since we were kids. I'm his best friend, but I'm not blind to who he's become." Olivia's professional mask slipped momentarily. "Why tell me this?" "Because I've seen how he looks at you when Vanessa isn't watching. And because I've heard how he dismisses what you two had." Tyler's gaze was steady. "I think you deserve to know the truth." "Which is?" "That Nathan's carefully constructed version of your breakup omits quite a bit." Outside, thunder rumbled as Olivia's mind traveled back 3 years. She had been working at a prestigious planning firm while helping Nathan develop business proposals at night. When a major client had signed with him based on a presentation she'd largely created, his career had skyrocketed. 2 weeks later, he'd ended their engagement, claiming they'd grown apart. "It doesn't matter anymore," she said, though her voice lacked conviction. "Doesn't it?" Tyler challenged. "Because watching you manage this wedding while he pretends you were just some girl he dated briefly feels wrong." Olivia turned to the window, composing herself. "I appreciate your concern, but I'm a professional. This is just another job." "Is that why you still wear the bracelet he gave you?" Her hand instinctively moved to cover the delicate silver chain at her wrist, a gift from Nathan on their first anniversary. "It matches my other jewelry," she replied defensively. Tyler's expression softened. "I'm not judging, Olivia. I'm trying to understand." Something in his tone made her defenses crack. "Have you ever had something that represented who you once were? Before disappointment changed you?" She touched the bracelet. "It reminds me to never again put someone else's dreams before my own." Tyler nodded slowly. "That makes sense." Olivia straightened, reclaiming her professional composure. "Why are you really here, Tyler? Surely not just to discuss ancient history." "I wanted to invite you to dinner." At her startled expression, he added quickly, "To discuss the bachelor party and rehearsal dinner. As best man, I should coordinate with you." "That's thoughtful but not necessary." "Humor me?" His smile was disarming. "Tomorrow night? That new place on Riverfront?" Against her better judgment, Olivia agreed. The following evening, their business dinner evolved into a 3-hour conversation that rarely touched on wedding details. Tyler was surprisingly easy to talk to, witty, attentive, and genuinely interested in her journey to building her business. "So after Nathan and I split, I took the risk and started my own company," she explained over dessert. "I had to prove to myself I could succeed on my own terms." "And you did." Tyler's admiration was evident. "That takes courage. What about you? Always wanted to be a lawyer?" "Actually, no. I wanted to be a writer." He smiled ruefully. "But my family had other ideas." "Do you still write?" "When I can. Nothing published, just for myself." As they walked to their cars afterward, Tyler paused under a streetlight. "I have a confession. Tonight wasn't entirely about wedding coordination." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "I wanted to get to know you better." Without Nathan or Vanessa present, his honesty was refreshing. "And I'm glad I did." Before she could respond, Her phone chimed with a text from Vanessa, demanding an urgent call about the catering. "Duty calls?" Olivia said, holding up her phone. "The bride beckons," Tyler nodded. "But Olivia, I meant what I said about Nathan. Be careful." Later that night, after appeasing Vanessa's latest concerns, Olivia found herself scrolling through old photos she'd never deleted. There was Nathan, smiling proudly after landing his first major client, using her marketing strategy. There they were at his company launch, her name conspicuously absent from the program, despite months of joint planning. The unraveling truth. The Langham Hotel's grand ballroom had been transformed into a winter fantasy, just as Vanessa had envisioned. Crystal icicles hung from the ceiling, white roses and silver accents adorned every table, and a string quartet played softly in the corner. Olivia surveyed her work with professional pride, even as anxiety knotted her stomach. The wedding day had arrived, and with it, a culmination of tensions that had been building for weeks. Her lunch with Nathan had been unsettling. Under the guise of discussing wedding details, he'd reminisced about their past, suggesting that marrying Vanessa was more strategic than passionate. "Some marriages are partnerships, Liv," he'd said, using her old nickname. "Like what we had planned before timing got in the way." When she'd pointed out that he had ended their engagement, "Not timing," he'd simply replied. "We both know it was more complicated than that." Now, watching the groomsmen adjust their cufflinks in a side room, Olivia tried to focus on her checklist rather than the memory of Nathan's hand brushing hers as they'd parted. "Everything okay?" Tyler appeared beside her, handsome in his tuxedo. Over the past weeks, they'd grown closer through countless texts and several more coordination meetings that had little to do with the wedding. "Perfect," she lied. "Just making sure every detail is in place." His eyes searched hers. "And personally?" Before she could answer, the door opened and Nathan walked in. He stopped short at the sight of them standing close together. "Interrupting something?" he asked, a edge to his voice. "Just final checks," Olivia said, stepping away from Tyler. "The ceremony starts in 40 minutes. Nathan adjusted his bow tie. "Can I speak with you alone, Olivia?" "Best man duties can wait." "Tyler." Tyler's jaw tightened, but he nodded and left, closing the door firmly behind him. "You two seem friendly," Nathan observed once they were alone. "We've been coordinating wedding details," Olivia replied evenly. "Is that all?" Nathan moved closer. "Because it looks like more from where I'm standing." "What I do, and who I spend time with, stopped being your concern 3 years ago." She checked her watch pointedly. "Was there something about the ceremony you needed to discuss?" Nathan's expression softened unexpectedly. "I've been thinking about us, Liv, about what happened. There is no us, Nathan. You're getting married in less than an hour." "To a woman who doesn't know me like you did." He reached for her hand. "We built something together once. My company wouldn't exist without you." Olivia withdrew her hand. "Interesting that you admit that now when it's convenient. Not when you were taking sole credit for ideas we developed together." "I was young and ambitious." "You were selfish," she corrected. "And nothing has changed." A knock interrupted them, and Vanessa's mother entered to announce the photographer was ready. Nathan gave Olivia a long look before leaving. The ceremony proceeded flawlessly. Vanessa glided down the aisle in a designer gown that had cost more than Olivia's annual rent. Nathan stood at the altar, the picture of a successful groom. Only Olivia noticed how his smile didn't reach his eyes, how his gaze occasionally drifted to where she stood discreetly by a side door. During the reception, Olivia moved efficiently among the guests and vendors, ensuring everything ran smoothly. She overheard snippets of conversation about Nathan's latest business venture, a luxury development project that had apparently secured major investment at the last minute. The contracts were signed just yesterday, an older man in an expensive suit was saying. Brilliant move on Nathan's part, using the wedding to seal the deal. As dinner concluded, the time came for speeches. Vanessa's father spoke of family legacy and business connections, barely mentioning love. The maid of honor gushed about Vanessa's perfectionism and determination to marry well. Then Tyler stood, champagne glass in hand. The room quieted. Olivia, standing near the kitchen doors, felt a strange tension in the air. "I've known Nathan Blackwell for 25 years," Tyler began, his voice carrying across the ballroom. "I've witnessed his rise to success, his determination to reach the top, and I've been proud to call him my friend." Nathan smiled confidently from the head table. "But true friendship," Tyler continued, "means being honest, even when it's difficult. Especially when it's difficult." The smile on Nathan's face faltered slightly. "The Nathan I grew up with valued integrity and hard work. He understood that success means nothing if you sacrifice the people who help you achieve it." Tyler's gaze swept the room, briefly meeting Olivia's. "Real success isn't measured in dollars or deals, but in how you treat those who believe in you." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Vanessa shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "So while I toast to Nathan and Vanessa's future," Tyler raised his glass higher, "I also want to acknowledge the people whose contributions often go unrecognized. The silent partners, the uncredited collaborators." Nathan's face had drained of color. He knew where this was going, like the person who actually wrote the business plan that launched Blackwell Enterprises. The person whose marketing strategy attracted your first investors. Tyler's voice grew stronger. The person who believed in you when no one else did, who worked alongside you through sleepless nights to build your dream, only to be written out of the story once success came. The room had gone completely silent. All eyes were on Tyler except Nathan's. He was staring at Olivia, who stood frozen by the door. "To those who stand in the shadows of others' success," Tyler concluded, "may they eventually step into the light they deserve." He took a deliberate sip of his champagne. "Congratulations to the happy couple." As Tyler sat down, the silence stretched uncomfortably before scattered, uncertain applause broke out. Vanessa was whispering furiously to Nathan, whose face had hardened into a mask. Across the room, several business associates were exchanging glances, connecting the dots to the woman who had orchestrated the entire event. Olivia slipped out to the terrace, her heart pounding. She gulped the cool night air, trying to process what had just happened. Tyler had publicly acknowledged what Nathan had spent years denying, her crucial role in building his success. The terrace door opened behind her. She turned, expecting Tyler, but instead found herself face to face with Vanessa. "So it's true," the bride said, her voice cold. "You're the genius behind my husband's company." "Husband!" The words stung more than Olivia had expected. "It was a long time ago," Olivia replied carefully, "but not forgotten, apparently." Vanessa's perfect makeup couldn't hide the anger in her eyes. "Was this your plan all along? Take the job, then ruin my wedding?" "I didn't know Tyler would say those things." "But you didn't stop him, did you?" Vanessa stepped closer. "You've been waiting for this moment. Your revenge." Before Olivia could respond, the door opened again, and both Nathan and Tyler emerged, tension radiating between them. "Vanessa," Nathan said tightly, "the guests are waiting for our first dance." Vanessa glared at Olivia once more before taking her husband's arm and returning inside. As they left, Olivia caught Nathan's expression, a mixture of anger, regret, and something that looked almost like longing. Then it was just her and Tyler on the moonlit terrace, the muffled sound of music spilling from inside. "Why did you do that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tyler moved beside her at the balustrade. "Because it needed to be said. Because you deserved recognition." He paused. "And because I couldn't stand watching him look at you like he still had some claim on your heart." "You may have just cost me my business," she said. "No one will hire a wedding planner who's associated with public drama. Or they'll hire the woman brave enough to plan her ex's wedding flawlessly, even after being wronged by him." Tyler reached for her hand. "Either way, I couldn't let him continue the lie." "Not today." Olivia looked at their joined hands, then back at Tyler's face, illuminated in the soft glow from the ballroom lights. "What happens now?" she asked. Before Tyler could answer, the terrace door burst open again. Nathan stood there, his composure shattered, as the wedding he'd planned as both a personal and professional triumph began unraveling around him. Moments of clarity. What the hell was that? Nathan demanded, his voice tight with fury as he strode onto the terrace. His perfect composure had cracked, revealing the anger beneath. You had no right, Tyler. Tyler stepped slightly in front of Olivia. I had every right as someone who's watched you rewrite history for years. At my wedding? In front of my investors? Nathan ran a hand through his carefully styled hair. Do you have any idea what you've done? Told the truth, Tyler said simply. Something you've avoided for too long. Olivia placed a restraining hand on Tyler's arm. This isn't the place, Nathan. Your guests are waiting. My guests are buzzing with questions about who really built my company. Nathan's gaze shifted to her. Was this your idea, Liv? Your revenge? Don't blame her. Tyler cut in. This was entirely my decision. After what? 3 weeks of knowing her? Nathan laughed bitterly. She's more influential than I remembered. Olivia felt her patience snap. Enough, Nathan. I didn't ask Tyler to say anything, but he wasn't wrong, was he? She stepped forward. You built your success on ideas we created together, then conveniently forgot my contribution once you had what you wanted. That's business, Nathan replied coldly. Everyone uses everyone. Is that what you're doing with Vanessa? Tyler asked. Using her family connections for your latest venture? A flash of something, guilt perhaps, crossed Nathan's face before his mask slipped back into place. My relationship with my wife isn't your concern. Wife, Olivia repeated softly. Congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted. Nathan's expression softened unexpectedly. Did I? For a moment, he seemed almost vulnerable. Liv, what happened between us? Nathan! Vanessa's voice cut through the night as she appeared at the terrace doorway. The photographer is waiting for our cake cutting. Everyone's noticed your absence. Her gaze darted between the three of them, lingering suspiciously on Olivia. Coming, Nathan replied, his public persona reasserting itself. He straightened his tie and moved toward his bride, but paused beside Olivia. We're not finished, he murmured, too quietly for Vanessa to hear. Then louder, Ms. Reed, perhaps you should focus on your professional duties rather than personal matters. With that parting shot, he rejoined Vanessa, who cast one last venomous look at Olivia before they disappeared inside. For a moment, the terrace was silent except for the muffled music from the ballroom. Olivia leaned against the stone balustrade, suddenly exhausted. I should go check on the cake service, she said finally. Olivia. Tyler's voice stopped her. I'm sorry if I made things difficult for you professionally. She turned to face him. Why did you really do it, Tyler? Because I've watched him take credit for your work for years. Tyler moved closer. Because every time he mentioned his sudden inspiration for the marketing strategy that launched his company, I remembered it was you who stayed up all night creating it. Olivia stared at him. How could you know that? He told me once, years ago, after too many drinks. Said you were surprisingly clever for someone so beautiful. He laughed about how you'd never asked for recognition. Tyler's expression hardened. I should have said something then. It wouldn't have mattered. It matters now. His eyes held hers. You matter, Olivia, more than you know. Something shifted between them in that moment. Recognition that what had been building over these weeks was more than friendship or shared frustration with Nathan. The spell was broken by Maya appearing at the terrace door. Olivia, the cake cutting is starting. Then we need to coordinate the late-night snack service. I'll be right there. As Maya left, Olivia turned back to Tyler. I have a job to finish. And after? He asked. After, I need to assess the professional damage from tonight's speech. Tyler winced. Let me help make it right. How? I know people. Clients who need an exceptional event planner. He reached for her hand. Starting with a charity gala next month. I'm on the committee. Olivia hesitated, then nodded. We'll talk later. The remainder of the reception passed in a professional blur. Olivia ensured every detail was perfect, despite the undercurrent of tension. She caught snippets of conversation about Tyler's speech, saw investors cornering Nathan with pointed questions, noticed Vanessa's increasing irritation as her perfect wedding became overshadowed by business intrigue. Near midnight, as guests began departing, Olivia supervised the vendor's cleanup from a discreet corner. She was checking final details on her tablet when a woman approached. one of the investors she'd overheard earlier. "Ms. Reed, I'm Eleanor Winters." The elegant woman extended her hand. That was quite a revelation during the best man's speech. Olivia kept her expression neutral. "Mr. Morgan is certainly passionate about giving credit where it's due." "Indeed." Eleanor studied her thoughtfully. "Tell me, did you really develop the original marketing strategy for Blackwell Enterprises?" "I contributed to various aspects of the company's early development," Olivia replied diplomatically. Impressive. Eleanor handed her a business card. "I'm launching a boutique hotel chain next year. We'll need someone with your diverse talents, both planning and strategy." Olivia accepted the card, surprised. "Thank you, Ms. Winters." "Eleanor, please," the woman smiled. "Sometimes what seems like professional disaster becomes opportunity in disguise." "Good evening, Ms. Reed." As Eleanor walked away, Olivia felt a presence beside her. Tyler had appeared, his bow tie loosened after the long evening. "See? Already turning in your favor," he said, nodding toward Eleanor's retreating figure. "Perhaps." Olivia slipped the card into her pocket. "But the night isn't over yet." As if on cue, Nathan approached, his expression unreadable. Vanessa was notably absent, having retreated to the bridal suite earlier. "A word, Olivia?" Nathan requested, pointedly ignoring Tyler. Tyler started to object, but Olivia shook her head slightly. "It's fine. I'll find you before you leave." Once Tyler reluctantly walked away, Nathan sighed heavily. "Quite a night." "Congratulations again," Olivia said formally. "The event went well, despite everything." "Did it?" Nathan laughed humorlessly. "My new wife is furious, my investors are questioning everything about my business, and my best friend just publicly betrayed me." "Is it betrayal to speak the truth?" Nathan was quiet for a moment. "Why did you take this job, Liv?" "You must have known it would be painful." "I took it because I'm a professional," she answered, "and because I needed to prove something to myself." "What?" "That I could face you and feel nothing." She met his gaze steadily. "That I had truly moved on." "And have you?" He stepped closer. "Because when I look at you, I still see the woman who understood me better than anyone, who believed in me when no one else did." "The woman you discarded when someone more advantageous came along," Olivia added quietly. Pain flashed across his face. "It wasn't that simple." "It never is, Nathan." She gathered her tablet and purse. "Congratulations on your marriage. I hope it brings you what you're looking for." As she turned to leave, he caught her wrist gently. "What if I made a mistake? What if I'm still making mistakes?" For a heartbeat, Olivia felt the pull of what once was, the dreams they'd shared, the future they'd planned. But then she remembered the nights she'd cried alone after he'd left, the way he'd taken credit for her ideas, how easily he'd replaced her with someone more socially valuable. "Then that's for you to figure out," she said, gently but firmly removing his hand. "But not with me, Nathan." "Not anymore." Across the room, she saw Tyler watching them, concern evident in his expression. As she walked away from Nathan, she felt a weight lifting, the final release of a past that had held her captive for too long. Outside, the night air was crisp with the promise of snow. Vendors loaded trucks with equipment while the last guests waited for their cars. Tyler stood by the entrance, clearly waiting for her. "Everything okay?" he asked as she approached. "Yes," she answered, and realized she truly meant it. "Everything is finally okay." Tyler studied her face for a moment, then smiled. "Can I give you a ride home?" "I have my car." "Then can I follow you?" "Make sure you get home safely?" Olivia considered him. This man who had seen her worth when others hadn't, who had spoken truth even when it cost him. "Actually," she said, "I could use a cup of coffee. Know any places open this late?" Tyler's smile deepened. "I know just the place." As they walked toward the parking lot, snow began to fall softly around them, a clean white slate covering everything that had come before. New Beginnings dawn was breaking over the city as Olivia and Tyler sat in the all-night diner, empty coffee cups between them. They'd talked for hours, about Nathan, about their own paths, about possibilities neither had voiced until now. "So you really turned down Nathan's first investor?" Tyler asked, amazed. Olivia nodded. "I told him the terms were predatory. Nathan was furious, said I was sabotaging his big break. She traced the rim of her mug. 6 months later, that investor was indicted for fraud. The companies he'd backed lost everything. But Nathan never acknowledged you were right. Of course not. She smiled wryly. That was our pattern. I'd warn, he'd dismiss, I'd be proven right, he'd take credit for the narrow escape. Tyler shook his head. I saw glimpses of it over the years, but never the full picture. We show different faces to different people, Olivia said. I saw a side of Nathan that his friends never did. And now? Now I see him clearly. All of him, the ambition, the charm, the selfishness. She met Tyler's gaze. And I'm finally free of wanting his approval or recognition. The waitress refilled their coffee cups. Outside, the city was coming alive, early morning workers hurrying through the light dusting of snow. What will you do about your business? Tyler asked. After last night's drama, Olivia thought about Eleanor Winter's business card. Surprisingly, I think it might actually help. Several guests approached me afterward. Apparently being the uncredited brains behind Blackwell Enterprises makes me more interesting, not less. I'm not surprised, Tyler smiled. You're pretty remarkable, Olivia Reed. A comfortable silence fell between them. Olivia studied Tyler across the table, his kind eyes, the way he listened as if every word mattered. In just weeks, he'd become someone she trusted, someone who saw her clearly. What about you and Nathan? She asked finally. Your friendship spans decades. Tyler's expression grew serious. I don't know. What I did last night, exposing him at his own wedding, crossed a line. You stood up for me, Olivia said softly. No one's ever done that before. I couldn't stay silent anymore. He reached for her hand across the table. Watching him dismiss what he did to you, seeing him try to reclaim some connection even as he married someone else, it was wrong. Liv. The casual use of her nickname, so different in his voice than it had been in Nathan's, sent warmth through her. What happens now? She asked, echoing her question from the terrace. Tyler's thumb brushed over her knuckles. Now we see where this goes. No rushing, no pressure, just us, she agreed, without Nathan's shadow between us. He smiled. I'd like that. 3 months later, Olivia stood in the ballroom of the Grand Hotel, surveying the transformation she'd created for Eleanor Winter's charity gala. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over tables adorned with spring flowers, while a string quartet played softly in the corner. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tyler. Just parking. Can't wait to see you. Since the wedding night, they'd taken things slowly. Dinners, weekend hikes, long conversations that stretched into the early hours. Tyler had become not just a romantic interest, but a true partner, supporting her work, respecting her independence, and making her laugh even on her most stressful days. Everything looks spectacular, Eleanor said, appearing beside her. The hotel investors are impressed. I'm glad, Olivia replied. And thank you again for the opportunity. Thank yourself. Your work speaks for itself. Eleanor smiled knowingly. And how are things with the handsome lawyer? Still taking it slow? Olivia blushed. We're good. Really good. I'm glad someone is. Eleanor nodded toward the entrance. Seems the Blackwell marriage didn't fare as well. Olivia turned to see Nathan entering alone, looking polished as ever in a tailored tuxedo, though something in his eyes had changed, a humility that hadn't been there before. I heard they separated last month, Eleanor continued. Apparently, Vanessa didn't appreciate discovering her husband's company was built on someone else's ideas. Bad for the family brand. Before Olivia could respond, Tyler appeared, handsome in his formal wear. He greeted Eleanor warmly, then slipped his arm around Olivia's waist. The place looks incredible, he told her. You've outdone yourself. Eleanor excused herself, leaving them alone. Across the room, Nathan noticed them, his expression flickering with recognition before he nodded slightly in acknowledgement. Are you okay? Tyler asked, following her gaze. We can avoid him. No need, Olivia said, realizing she meant it. He's just someone I used to know. Later, as the gala was in full swing, Nathan approached them during a quiet moment near the bar. Olivia, Tyler, he greeted them, a hint of his old confidence present, but tempered with something new. Beautiful event. Thank you, Olivia replied evenly. An awkward silence stretched between them before Nathan spoke again. I owe you both an apology. Especially you, Liv. He swallowed visibly. You were right. About the business, about us, about everything. Olivia exchanged a surprised glance with Tyler. The past few months have been clarifying, Nathan continued. Losing Vanessa, facing questions about my company's origins, it forced me to confront some uncomfortable truths. I'm sorry about your marriage, Olivia said sincerely. Nathan shrugged slightly. It was never what yours and mine could have been. I see that now. His gaze moved between them. But it seems things worked out as they should. They did, Tyler confirmed, his hand finding Olivia's. Nathan nodded, acceptance in his eyes. I'm selling the company, he said unexpectedly. Starting over with something built on more honest foundations. That takes courage, Olivia acknowledged. I learned it from you. Nathan raised his glass slightly. To new beginnings, for all of us. As he walked away, Tyler turned to Olivia. Are you all right? She considered the question, searching her feelings. There was no lingering attachment, no wistfulness for what might have been, only a peaceful closure. I'm perfect, she answered, smiling up at him. For the first time in years, everything feels exactly right. The orchestra began playing a waltz, and Tyler extended his hand. Dance with me? Under the crystal lights, surrounded by the beautiful event she'd created, Olivia moved into Tyler's arms. As they swayed to the music, she thought about the journey that had brought her here, from heartbreak to professional success, from lingering in someone else's shadow to standing confidently in her own light. What are you thinking about? Tyler murmured against her hair. How sometimes the wrong turn leads you to exactly where you're meant to be, she replied. If Nathan hadn't broken my heart, I might never have started my own company. If I hadn't taken his wedding job, I might never have met you. Tyler pulled back slightly to look into her eyes. I've been thinking about that too. How timing changes everything. His expression grew serious. I don't want to rush you, Liv, but I need you to know I'm in this for the long haul. Whatever pace you want to take, wherever you want this to go, I'm here. Olivia felt a certainty she'd never experienced before, even during her engagement to Nathan. This wasn't the desperate, proving herself love of her youth, but something steadier and more genuine. I'm here too, she said softly. All in. As Tyler's smile widened, she rose on tiptoes to kiss him, no longer concerned with who might be watching or what they might think. This moment, this man, this new beginning, it was entirely hers. Built on truth and mutual respect rather than ambition or convenience. The gala continued around them, Eleanor's investors mingling with socialites and philanthropists. In one corner, Nathan watched them briefly before turning away to rejoin the party, a solitary figure seeking his own new path. But on the dance floor, wrapped in Tyler's embrace, Olivia closed her eyes and surrendered to the music and the moment, finally understanding that true love didn't diminish you or use you. It recognized your value and celebrated your strength. So, Tyler whispered as the music shifted to a slower tempo. Where do we go from here? Olivia smiled up at him, her heart full of possibilities. Anywhere we want. As snowflakes began to fall outside the ballroom windows, they continued dancing. Two people who had found each other at exactly the right moment, after the storms had passed, when they were ready to build something real together. The past had finally released its hold, leaving only the promise of tomorrow stretching before them, a clean page waiting to be filled with their own story written together.